This Friday, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back to switch things up in Disney's Freakier Friday.
Totally. Yes.
It's an absolute riot, and the only movie that can be described as
So much weirder than the last time.
What last time?
it's the frequel
You ready?
we've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
What deeply out of touch old person came up with that?
You did.
Wow.
Don't miss the comedy event of the summer for all ages. Disney's Freakier Friday in theaters this Friday. Get tickets now. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
This episode is brought to you by the world's first reposado from Tequila Herradura. Made with slow-cooked, hand-harvested agave sealed into oak barrels and aged 11 months. Before being enjoyed in your glass. Experience the world's first reposado. Tequila Herradura. Please drink responsibly. Responsibility.org. Tequila Herradura. 40% alcohol by volume. Imported by Brown-Forman, Louisville, Kentucky. Herradura is a registered trademark. Copyright 2025 Brown-Forman Corporation.
Hey, it's Sydney Sweeney.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney, Hasbro Jeans.
You see what I did there, right?
Pie in the Sky Media. This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence throughout. Listener discretion is advised.
I see how you are.
Yeah, as opposed to the others, I actually enjoyed this one. All right, here we go. 3, 2.
I know you're going to keep that on there.
Of course not. I would never do that.
Yes, you would.
Hello, Criminal Mischief Nation. Welcome back to another bonus episode of Criminal Mischief with Carolyn and Branden. My name is Branden. I am here as always with the great Carolyn Osorio, who has agreed to put up with my nonsense for another bonus episode, and we're all better for it. Carolyn, hello. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm tired, but a good tired. Spent a great weekend with my youngest at a volleyball tournament.
Just the youngest?
Reno, Nevada.
Hold on a second. Just the youngest?
Yeah, the oldest was in Salt Lake with her mom. So, yeah.
On a different
tournament? Yes. Different, because they're different ages, right?
How do you pick who gets to go with who?
You know, we switch on and off.
That's great because it gives you time with the individual.
Oh yeah, we had the best time. We had the best time. Reno's a weird place, and our hotel was a dump. And I'm not a bougie, like, got to be in a nice hotel, but this place was not cool. Like, the team didn't know it. The team was
it the Sands?
I'm not gonna say what hotel it was, but because they buy like blocks of rooms, you know. And I guess they just got a good deal. But ooh, man, had a nice, beautiful view of a train yard that bordered a scrap yard. That's a 24-hour operation. So middle of the night, you're as a train pulls in and gets a load of scrap iron dumped onto a flat. Go! And I'm like, the hell is going on?
Your descriptions are just so like funny.
Listen, that's exactly what it was. Like, look.
I know I can picture it. I can picture
man.
it. It's like there's nothing like that reality check of like, the joys of parenting.
Oh, it was crazy. But it's again, like we were talking about, we were pre-gaming. You're talking about, one of your kids in soccer and watching them grow and thrive and suffer and learn and grow. And that's, although it's expensive and it's incredibly time consuming and very inconvenient and all that, it's still worth it. Watching my girls kind of benefit from organized sports. All the good and the bad, good coaching, bad coaching. How are you going to deal with it, right? Like really oppressive kind of sports moms, or the ones that really don't care, right? I hope I'm somewhere in the middle. How do you deal with it? So and then there's egos and there's cliques within every team and winning and losing. And, like Kipling says, to treat those two imposters just the same, and they're learning that as they go, which is, it's just great to watch. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah.
awesome. You're such a good dad.
Thank you.
I really admire that about you. So
Thank you. It's
yeah,
important. Very
it
important.
it it is the most important,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, the New York Yankees are up. They're pretty important.
What? Why do I even try? Let's get to the show, buddy.
Let's get to the show. So interesting choice. This is
Hmm.
great. And oh, I know what my conclusions are, but I find it really interesting that some people feel such a level of importance of self-importance, right? That they think and also and in much smaller ways than this obviously tragic way, right? There are people that I know and love and have known forever, but that have a little idiosyncratic kind of portion of their personality where they think that even if you don't ask, you always want their advice because they know everything about everything. Okay. And you know, and these people, and I love them. And so I laugh it off or whatever, you know, but, if you take a step back and you think about it, you know, you have a cough. Oh, well, you need to take this, and then you need to do this first, and then tomorrow you do this and this and this. I'm like, I didn't ask you, but it's okay, you know. And going back to sports moms. Oh my gosh. Well, if you want your daughter to go to a D1 college, you have to work with this coach, and you have to go to this trainer, and you have to do mineral baths, and you have to do ice baths, and you have to do this, and you have to do this, and you have to. I'm like, again, didn't ask. I'm just here to see how they do and how they play and to be
So
supportive.
how do you respond to that when you get that? Do you say I didn't? Because see, there's two parts of me that feels like on the one you would just be like, okay, okay, but then on the other, I feel like you would say I didn't ask.
No, if it
What do you do?
I have come to a point, there's this great stoic kind of idea that you don't have to have an opinion on anything, on everything. You don't. It's okay to not have an opinion on something and to just say, oh, you know what? I haven't thought about it. Or cool, great. Thank you for sharing that. You know, and generally what I found out with with this personality type is that they think that their job is to spread their knowledge and that it's so important that they don't follow up to make sure people are doing what they say. They're on to the next problem to solve, right? So I can just agree and just nod and smile and then it's over. But I used to work at that hotel, which I've talked about a million times, and it's very rare that someone gets thrown out and gets barred from the place. Okay, it's only happened a couple of times. Right?
Hmm.
Very high profile people, and that 100% deserved it. And the most egregious of all of them was this guy, and you would know his name in a second, and you would know his work by heart. Okay.
Hmm.
For some crazy reason, he decided that he was going to come into the Tower Bar on a night where 90% of the, and I'm going to sound like a douchebag, but where 90% of the tables were A-list celebrities because it was Oscar week. Okay. And because of his own celebrity, he got a table. All right. And he thought it was the right time. He walked in with a file with hundreds of papers in it, and they were all photocopies of his lists: 10 favorite books, 10 favorite movies, 10 favorite songs, 10 favorite vacation spots, 10 favorite restaurants, all of that. And that everybody needed to know that. Everybody in the restaurant needed this guy to come up to their table, interrupt their dinner, and say, review this before you leave. If you have any questions, I'm sitting right over there. And everyone knew who he was.
I know,
And
but
everyone,
why? What was the
I,
purpose?
because he thought that everyone needed to know it, that his opinions on all of those topics were better than anybody else's, and that if they didn't agree, that they were wrong, and he was going to tell them why. Okay. And it was so confounding. Everybody was confused. Like no one understood what the hell was going on. And security had to escort him out. At first, people thought maybe he was having some kind, because he's an older gentleman. People thought he was maybe having a psychotic kind of break or some kind of
Oh my
emotional
God.
breakdown or something. Because how could you be that arrogant that you think that every table in this restaurant needs to know your opinions on all of these things, and not just to know them, but to make sure that you agree with him, and you'll be told why you're wrong if you don't. right? So that's a pretty extreme case. Again, not as extreme as what happened in this episode, right? Where a person thinks that you can order someone to do something on the street with no authority at all. You're just a regular citizen, you know?
I don't. I just, this level, like, I loved what the prosecutor said. I just loved it at the end where she's like, this level of entitlement that she felt that she could do this at 21 years of age. And even when she's on the stand going up against the prosecutor, and this is when you're supposed to just be like, yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
Sure.
Like, if you testify, it is in your best interest to not be entitled because that's what you're basically on trial for being an
Yeah.
entitled vigilante, right?
Yeah.
And so it just is like that. The vein of entitlement was so deep with this girl, in my opinion. She couldn't even keep it together to like try to save herself in some way. I mean, I
Right.
don't think
And splitting hairs about that. She told you that you needed to go back to the scene. Well, yeah, but she didn't tell me to stop following. Well, what do you think it means? I need you to go back to the scene right now. You have to stop following the person to go back to the scene. So yeah, technically she didn't say stop following. She said go back to the scene. She didn't need to say stop following because that's what it means.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like
Right.
she
And so
is,
to for that to be an argument and I wasn't watching, but I could hear the smugness like in her voice and the entitlement in her
oh,
voice and it just
absolutely.
she was just burying herself.
She was, and I mean, it didn't even make sense.
No, it
She's
made no
so
sense at all.
like, if you testify, you got to be pretty desperate, and your attorney is advising you, listen, you need to not be entitled. You need to be the reverse of who you actually are,
Right. Don't
or
alienate
else
the
don't even,
jury. Right.
don't even try it, right? And she just couldn't even do that. She like proved the prosecution's case right there. So I just find that you know, I've been seeing Jeeps all over since I was researching this
Yeah, yeah,
episode.
yeah.
Suddenly I'm just seeing. That's why I started that intro because I knew that story about World War II and the
Yeah.
chocolate. And like I love that story and just this imagery of like, do-gooders coming to help and all that, right? And it's like this black, shiny, pink
With a
grilled
pink grill.
Jeep and this guy who's just having a medical emergency, needing help, and she just thinks she can do this.
Trying to get
He's
himself to the
62
hospital.
years old, 62 years old, having this 21-year-old,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's just you just feel so bad for the family.
But the larger question is like why? Like it's because it's more than entitlement, it's ego, where she's like, I can fix this. I'm deputizing myself as a citizen, right? To wade into these waters that are reserved for law enforcement, unless it's something like incredibly, incredibly extreme. Like if there was an abducted child in the car, okay, great, right? If I don't know anything else that might justify it. Hit and run doesn't justify this to me, right? You
I
give a
think that
description of the vehicle and you call the cops and that's it,
I
you
think
know?
that leading up, the fact that she had her concealed weapon and she had it in a holster on her hip, being 21 years old.
Again, why?
Apparently, she was like a property manager, and so she'd often meet
Well,
people, and so she felt entitled to have this weapon.
okay, that makes sense.
And
Okay.
but still, to wear it on your hip at all times when you're driving down the street,
Yeah.
like I feel like that gave her this sense of
Oh, she wouldn't have done
unarmed.
it. This doesn't happen if she doesn't have a weapon on her hip.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No way,
No way.
no
No
how
how.
does this happen.
Yeah, yeah,
Because she went
exactly.
right for it. She drew her weapon.
She did. And that's where she split hairs again, where it's like, I didn't have my finger on the trigger.
Trigger was on the
I had
trigger
it on the
guard.
guard.
So that
And
means
it's
that
like,
she's trained. Okay, so she's trained with handling a firearm, which is great. Didn't help. She still shot the fucking guy. Okay.
I
But
mean, I just think that there was that kind of buoying of her ego with the weapon on her side, her Jeep, she's driving up on a curb, like in the middle of like this busy street. You feel entitled to drive your vehicle up on a curb? I mean, that to me seems like that in and of itself. And most 21-year-olds, I guess they would stick around, but she wasn't even a part of the accident.
No.
She was a witness. And the one, Terry, the Good Samaritan, who was also the corrections officer, he was handling that scene.
Sure.
She could have said, here's my contact information. I've
Yep.
called 911. Please let me know if there's anything that I can do. And been like, I'm bouncing, right? She stuck around, commiserated with Stanley, the semi-truck driver, who was fine, and like inserted herself into this accident. Most people are like, I want to get away from the accident. Thank God I didn't get in I wasn't involved in this, and I'll be a witness.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
It's Wednesday, Addams. I see you're trying to distract yourself from your own banal thoughts. Let me help. Here's a recording thing made of my latest root canal.
Wednesday Season 2 is now playing only on Netflix.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Juvederm Day is coming on August 20th. For one day only, buy one $75 gift card and get one free. Juvederm Day gift cards can be used on any product in the Juvederm collection of fillers. Don't miss out on this once-a-year chance to save. Join Allie now while supplies last. Skin Beef by Juvederm is excluded from this promotion. Terms and conditions apply.
So I got a couple of things here. One, was it like a hero complex? Okay, maybe. Because like I used to do a show where I worked with a Navy SEAL, and he confided in me once in a very genuine kind of, I don't know, real way, because he concealed carries, and he has a fantasy where he's going to just happen upon like a mass shooting and will prevent it at like a Walmart or something, because he could in a fucking second.
Yeah.
In a second he could.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, that's virtuous and cool, right? A little bit of a hero complex,
but also a little insane. Yeah.
All the way insane, not a little, like all the way insane. But also that was his life. That's what he trained to do and did in theater dozens of times. Okay. Yeah. So that's hard to just turn off, I think, I guess, right? If
when you're living a suburban life.
Yeah, and if you're still, you have the vestiges of this training that not only you went through, but I actually put in practice of protecting the weak, so that doesn't just go away, But then the other thing where I feel a little bit of a hypocrite, because I'm sitting here thinking about how many 21-year-olds whose balls I break for not getting involved in shit, for just sitting on the sidelines and going, someone else will do it. And then here's this 21-year-old who fully inserts herself in a situation, and I'm also criticizing that.
No, I think it's different because I feel like I've raised, and I have two older daughters who 24 and 21. So, and I feel like I've tried to instill in them the right time to help those if you can, and the importance of knowing when and when not to do it, right?
Yeah.
In this case, she did what at first, pulling over,
Yes.
giving, she could have just driven off because she wasn't a part of the accident.
Right.
So she could have done the right thing and just been like, okay, let me know. Here's my contact information. She called 911. They're going to have her contact information, so the police could have tracked her back, but she couldn't she had to continue the high.
And right. So what was she chasing? Was she chasing the
I think she was chasing the high. Like you said, I think she had a hero complex. She had the gun. She saw herself as like, I'm going to do this. He's drunk. And, I mean, if anything, it's like, do not make assumptions. I mean,
right. But then I get to this point. Is she just like, and this is not a question of her intelligence, just a question of her kind of situational awareness. Is she like culturally stupid? Right? Like, does she think that cops would go, wow, you did it and we couldn't have done. I'm so glad that you rammed this boy, that you unlawfully imprisoned someone with your car and then drew your weapon and ordered him out of the vehicle. Wow. It's like you went through the police academy. You're a hero, young lady. Like, did she really think that was going to be the outcome? She was breaking laws.
I think she did because that was her defense, that she was, deputized, that this was a citizen's arrest. And here's the thing, I've been thinking
That's not how citizens' arrests work.
I get it. I mean, I understand, but I'm saying they use that in her defense. But here's the thing, I've been thinking about this because my husband's brother was killed by a drunk driver, and this was back in 1991, okay? He's riding his bike, and he gets plowed into by this guy. And the second he gets plowed into and hits a tree and that whole thing, right? And
how old was
he? Was only 20.
Holy fuck.
He was only 20.
Oh my God.
And so here's the thing, like, there was a witness, and this is in the 1991, right? So this is before cell phones. I mean, except for the huge ones. Nobody's walking around with cell phones. There was a witness and his son who saw him as soon as the guy hit my husband's brother, Todd. He turned off his lights because it was like dusk. So he knew, oh, this guy's leaving the scene, and he knows that he's done, he knows that he's hit this kid, right? And so the guy, like, follows him and like basically makes him, and catches up with him and makes him stay put. And then his son, I think 12-year-old, went and called the police, at a payphone or whatever, nearby payphone. But like that.
And they got the guy.
And they got the guy.
Did he go to jail?
He back then the laws weren't that great. So he only did like 3 years, but then he got out and like, put someone in a wheelchair,
Did it again?
He did it again. Yeah. So like this guy was just, and I think his blood alcohol level was like 3 times the limit. But the point is that the guy pinned him in because he clearly saw him hit someone, turn off his lights, flee the scene, was driving erratically. And, I feel like there was nothing about what happened that day that should have raised these alarm bells for her to pit maneuver her Jeep in front of this guy's car, who's clearly dazed and confused, and then start yelling at him.
I'll fucking shoot you. She's a lunatic.
Yeah.
2 witnesses saved me. And I have no idea why they turned around when I got in a really bad car accident on Sunset and Laurel Canyon. And I was like knocked out. Okay. And
what did you hit?
I got T-boned. Okay. Yeah. Didn't even see it coming. I mean, I had full green light, bang, wake up, I'm in the hospital. And what the cops told me was that the people in the car that hit me were okay. They were fine. And the story that they were telling was that I was speeding to run a red light, which wasn't true. And there was a guy that was in front of me, okay, who, when he went through the intersection, he saw this car coming, corner of his eye, okay? And then there was another guy waiting, coming across, right? And the one guy was an Uber driver, and this guy was going shopping at the supermarket right there on the corner. They each, within the next 20 minutes, just turned around and came back to the scene just to see what was going on. And they heard the people lying to the police, and they gave statements. I wasn't even awake. They gave statements that wound up saving like the whole thing for me. The whole thing. I would have just been completely screwed at the mercy of what this other person was saying. Yeah.
So, and this is what I've been thinking about too. Like,
Yeah.
people they're curious,
Yeah.
but they want to do the right thing. That's why these people came back. That's why all these bystanders that were standing there got out of their car, even though they knew she had a gun and shot. They still got out. They circled the red truck. I
Yeah.
think that there's that instinct to help.
Sure, there's
there's
an
that
instinct to help, but there's also a thing like my thing. I want to know who this 21-year-old's father is. Okay, like where did she learn that that's what you do
Well,
as a
it could
single
be,
woman?
it
And
could
forgive
be her
me,
mother too.
no, but hold on. You're right. You're right. But I'm a dad. I'm not a mother. I'm a dad,
Yeah.
right? So I was just
Yeah.
right, but and not in any way other than just the reality of it, okay, is that it's more dangerous for a single woman to do some shit like that in the world than for a single man. It just is. Because the bad guys, the bad men out there will see a single woman as a much easier target than a single man. Okay.
And that just proves the point that Kenneth Herring was a vulnerable elderly gentleman in the throes of, it sounds like a diabetic
A diabetic fit. Yeah.
and or some medical
Yep.
emergency, and she felt power to go up to him, tell him what to do, and like pull out her weapon. I
Right, but
think
like who told her that that was okay?
I think she just felt like she
I,
could
you
do.
don't you're not born thinking that. You're
I
born
know,
with
and
that big
here's
of
the
an
thing about
ego.
raising kids that are entitled.
Right. So she
I'm
never
not
heard
saying.
no. So we're back to I'm back to the get off my lawn aspect of it. Like she never no one ever told her no. I I
You
don't
know
know.
what? I mean, I have conversations with my daughters all the time about this kind of stuff, about like there's just an inherent entitlement that you can have,
Sure is.
know? And it's like it presents itself in so many different ways. And like for example, my daughter's in Guatemala right now. She's staying with a host family. It is not a tourist area at all. It is a very humble village. And she had a situation where she goes to this international language school from like 8 to 12. And my daughter is, I'm not just saying this. I mean, she is like so concerned about other people. She is so like, she is not an entitled brat. Like that is like the furthest thing. Um, but she is, she comes from a middle class family and what that means, right?
Mhm.
And so she had a book that her professor said that she didn't turn back in. And she goes, and she was upset that she's like, yes, I did turn it in. She's very type A. And I said, Sophie, you know what? Just say, I believe I turned it back in, but let me just take care of this anyway. I go, you're in their country and they're even this little tiny thing. It could have been this thing where she just refused to do it. And it's like, you don't have to be right. And she's like, you know what? You're right. And anyway, they ended up finding the book, but it's just these little things about like, do not be entitled. Try not
Yeah.
to. Because
And there's a fine line between standing up for yourself and what's right is right and entitlement. But I think even with just a modicum of self-awareness or introspection, you know where that dividing line is.
well, she
You know.
didn't. Clearly, she didn't. That's
This
the
one
thing.
didn't. This
She didn't.
this one didn't at all.
But there's things that you don't even realize that you're entitled about
Yeah.
until
I'm sure
you.
there's stuff about me that I don't know. I'm sure. But with her, but again, I think it begins and ends with that gun on her hip.
Oh, that gave her this sense of superiority.
It's like who knows how long she was driving around just looking for some kind of situation to insert herself into to satisfy that hero complex, you
I
know?
completely believe
And
it.
where does it get her? Gets her 40 fucking years in jail. She'll get out in her 60s.
And she thought she was better than him because he was driving that beat up, that truck
Yep.
that she maybe perceived as, I mean, that's what the prosecutor said. at the end, and she said, was it because she's driving this shiny black Jeep, and she perceived herself to be, above this person who's driving a humble vehicle, and she felt that she could, he was older, and she felt like she was more powerful than he was, and she had her weapon. I mean, I don't get it. And
I think we do get it. I think we get it. And I think this is just another, another example of the type of kid that I don't want to raise. And I hope it's nurture rather than nature in situations like this, right? Where this is behavior that is learned, right? That I'm not teaching.
I mean, here's the thing. I think that we have a leg up because, I come from humble background. You don't necessarily come from a humble background, but, moving to LA at a young age, you had to, work yourself, figure it out, support yourself at a very young age. And I think that those lessons don't leave you.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's like you see, even though, you may have it's more comfortable now. Like, I know I don't forget things, maybe more comfortable, but like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, and I think that I'm grateful for that because, being a parent is a huge responsibility,
Yeah. It's the best. It's the best. It's just it's constant, worry and anxiety and joy and anger.
I love how joy and
frustration,
yeah, exactly.
Happiness, frustration,
love, yeah.
Oh yeah, love.
Remember,
love, murderous intent, but rarely do I feel like strangling my children. But no, it's terrific. It's terrific, and this is just it's so fucking sad because it's it's that cliche. It's two lives completely ruined. One guy's dead, and come on, is she gonna be worth a damn to society when she fucking gets out, right? She goes in there with that attitude that is there reform, right? Is I don't know.
Well, I'm sure she's going to appeal this, I mean, I don't think we've heard the last of this.
Okay. And we know how she is on the witness stand. What's her appeal? Is it going to be any different? Maybe they'll be smart enough to not have her testify.
I just hope that because the family was like, it took them 4 years and of course there was COVID and that whole thing, but the family had to reach out to the NAACP and say, hey, help us. Why is this taking forever? Why did she get bail? Like, what we need support here. And they totally, of course, showed up for the family. Good. But it's like, and there's a lot of people that are in her camp that think, hey, she tried to, they buy into this whatever her defense was.
Yeah.
And so that's why both families were getting death threats, which is insane. So I don't know. I mean, I think that she's definitely where she needs to be, but I don't know.
Oh, wow. Well, that type of entitlement, unfortunately, is not unique. Fortunately, it doesn't always lead to terrible situations like this, but more frequently than it fucking should. And I don't know what the answer is, but
I mean, if you just watch those freaking Karen, I don't know why, but my 11-year-old somehow got on this kick where he loved watching reels of Karens.
Yeah.
And he wanted to watch them with me, and I just would be, I can't even handle this because it's so bad. I don't know if you've seen some of these.
I have.
They're so like, is this real?
They think that everyone owes them answers. You have to answer me. Like, who the hell are you? Why do I have to? You don't even have...
I know, and it's like, or going after people, or like, thinking that you have the right to do that.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like, it's just a really.
It's an ugly side of humanity.
It really is an ugly side of humanity,
From Pie in the Sky Media, Criminal Mischief is an EVO production, recorded live in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. We're produced by Brandon Morgan and myself, music by Soundstripe. For EVO Creative, I'm Carolyn Osorio, your writer and host.